Hello, all of you amazing people, and welcome back for episode 3 of the Hostile Lands. We have a lot of things that we got to get done in this episode, not quite as many humongous projects, but there is quite a bit that needs to be done, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing up on today's list is that we need to get into this nether finally. I have my portal up and I have not really poked around in there too much, and we need to go get some blaze rods so that we can heal those darn villagers. So I ended up being extremely lucky. It was maybe 5 seconds of poking around in the nether, and through a little hole in the bottom of the floor I could see a nether fortress off in the distance. So I am very fortunate that there is one really close to me. So I dug over, mined a little pathway down, and now it is time to see what we got in here. I have a few of these wussy bars in place. I do not like messing with the wither skeletons. Got some nether wart from in here, and now I gotta just kind of make my way through here and let's see what we can find. Hopefully we can get something good, because I have not seen very many blaze so far as I've been poking around in here. So hopefully we will find a few at least, because I need to make the brewing stand and I need to also power it so that I can get those villagers back home finally back up and running, because they kind of died on me, and that has ruined quite a bit of my projects that I've had. So that is first up on the docket. That needs to get done. What are you doing down here? If I hit him, he's going off the edge, isn't he? Yep. Of course. Wouldn't mind picking up a few wither skeleton heads though while I'm in here. That'd be nice. But the drop rate for those are not super great, so I'm not really thinking that that's probably going to happen. So we just mine up some quartz, get some resources, and then try and find at least one blaze. So let's hit fast forward and go ahead and knock that out. right, so that was pretty successful. We got everything we needed, got a little bit more than what I actually came in here for. So let's go ahead, get our stuff all together, poke around a little more, and then we're going to head back to the overworld so that we can get started on finishing up some of the old projects and starting some new ones. All right, back in the overworld now, and I have some progress I want to show you from the mob farm from last episode, as well as going over a few other things with you. This thing has been producing like crazy. I have really been liking it. I have AFK'd for a total of, I think, 6 hours, and I put this light back here. It's got a redstone torch line attached to it with a comparator at the bottom from some of the quartz I found while in the nether. And that just gives me a little bit of a signal every time that I'm up there. Whenever a item passes through one of the back hoppers that are sending items forward into these chests, it just kind of lets me know, okay, hey, even though I'm up here, things are still kind of cranking away. Had to install these little side gate doors because occasionally baby zombies, they fall down and they latch onto the shoulders of one of the grown-up zombies, and that prevents them from dying. But got quite a bit of resources in here right now. Had to put a secondary chest set up in it because, surprise, surprise, it overflowed, and when I came back from AFKing, there was items despawning on top, so I don't know how much I actually lost. But I do need to improve this for the future because this is not how I want this to be collecting it. I'm going to probably do an auto sorter and a few other things to make this a little more convenient for myself. But not a bad first AFK session. It's given me quite a bit of resources. It doesn't always seem like it. For some reason on camera, whenever I start recording, they drop a lot less than they normally do. But there's a bunch of stuff in here, bunch of goodies, bunch of gunpowder, all kinds of stuff that I'm going to be needing in the future. And I've already started moving some of this stuff out of these chests and back to my little temporary house right now. So there's a lot in there, and there's still a lot more that I was able to get out of this. So that was pretty successful, pretty happy with it. Has a few tweaks that need to be done to it, but for the most part, I think that this is a project that I can say is done and dusted, and will require fairly little effort from us in the future to make sure that it is staying functional, and I do the upkeep with the storage. I do plan on making a trip to the end and getting some shulker boxes, but I have a lot of other things I want to get done before then. So I definitely need to fix the sorting and item sorting system out over there and get more storage for it, because these trips back and forth with a full inventory are a pain in the butt. However, in here we see that finally these guys are back to normal. Rob and Craig, these zombies are no longer zombies, so that's been awesome. I threw them some of the little bit of food that I have to kind of kick off the breeding process. I've also put dirt up everywhere because I am not risking them again with messing around with the doors. But as you can see, we do have some villagers down here bopping around in the water. I can put some more beds in here, I'm thinking. That will probably be a good setup to go, just because I'm not funneling them away from the spawning area, or not the spawning, the breeding area right away. And so they kind of just sit there and stay connected to the bed. They got to go over 100 blocks away to disconnect from the bed. And so I'm thinking I'll just pop a few more beds in there, because I don't want to move them until I'm ready with my trading hall area, which is going to be the next project that I get started on. I also had these Skellybone horses pop up the other day. Got attacked by the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse looking skeleton dudes, and one of them didn't make it, it looks like. I think I only have 3 of them, but I do need to figure out some more stuff in the nether as well, because as I went through that fortress, something I found was that there was something wrong in the spawning of it. It had no spawners, it didn't have any blaze spawners, but it also didn't have a single chest. And I don't know if that's just a rarity thing, or if I just got a kind of a bunk fortress, but I did get the things I need for the moment, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to get some of the stuff I have, like this nether wart, farming up, get stuff ready to make some potions for down the road for the trading hall, and kind of just do a little bit of odds and ends around here so that things are getting closer and closer to more successful projects being completed now that I finally have gone back and redone all that I needed to do from previous projects that ended up being failures because I was not being smart. So let's go ahead and figure out what's next. As the sun starts setting behind me, I find myself on my private little fishing spot once again, trying to collect the only food that I pretty much have, and it just really got me thinking. I definitely need to be doing the villager trading hall. That's going to be immensely helpful for what I have going forward. But I also am going to need some food sources, and I need a lot of other things just to prep for the trading hall. I'm going to be needing iron so that I can make a bunch of rails. I'm going to need gold to make powered rails. I'm going to need a bunch of different things going on, and I don't really have all of the resources that I'm wanting for that yet. I'm also going to need a ton of leather so that I can make a bunch of books, as I'm going to be needing a ton of the librarian villagers, just so I can get really good enchantments and try and bring them down low. I'm going to need a lot more blaze rods so that I can make many more potions, because I do plan on having a automated system of weakening the zombies by letting them get converted to zombies and then healing them so that they can give me some reduced rates. So I'm going to need tons of gold for that, because the golden apples are not cheap. I'm going to need a lot of blaze powder to keep making tons and tons of potions. And I'm going to need more blaze rods just so I can make some brewing stands for workstations, because I also have a ton of zombie flesh that does me no other good. And so I want to start trading that to get some emeralds as well. So working on those things. I am also, as you saw over there, working on some farm stuff. I have I think one sheep. I don't know what happened to the other one. There was definitely two. You can see that there was another one who had eaten grass in there. I'm not sure what happened to it exactly. But I've been sitting here for a little while, just taking my little itty bitty amounts of wheat that I have and trying to breed up these cows as much as I can so that I can go ahead and get a ton of leather. It is kind of a little bit of a catch-22 because I want to get looting 3 on my sword so I can get more leather. But in order to get looting 3, I'm going to need to have some leather already. So I think what I'm going to do next is focus on getting into the nether and finding a different fortress that will actually have a spawner, so that when I'm ready for that point of things, I can go ahead and make a blaze farm and get all of the blaze rods that I could ever need, as well as maybe hopefully finding a few other nice things tucked away in some chests in the fortress. Bada boom, bada bing, and we have another fortress that was not too difficult. I needed some more quartz, was mining around, and spotted this bad boy. Came in here, and I pretty much have this thing all deactivated for the blaze by blocking off all of the little spawning spaces that are set up right here for them. Occasionally, 1 or 2 does spawn in here, which is not too terrible, but for what I need right now, that's pretty good. I got more magma cream because I'm going to need a ton of fire resistance potions when I do come in here to get this done. Yeah, there you go. See, spawning a little bit just down in here. Not too big of a deal. But I'm going to block this off. I'm going to mark where this is so that I can find it again in the future. And that's pretty much all set to go. And I'm probably going to head back to the overworld as soon as possible so that I can start making progress on some of the other bits and pieces for the trading hall. I did just want to make sure that I would have somewhere that would be a renewable source for the blaze rods, since the old fortress had really terrible rates. I had to spend probably over an hour in there and I only got a handful of them. So Found this, got what I need to do. Now let's go ahead and let's head back over to the overworld and get started. Alright, let's get rid of that. That's slowing me down. That's a pain in the butt. Okay, cobblestone. Yep. Some cobblestone there. And let's go ahead. Oh my goodness. Let me get. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. I can't see. I can't see. I can't see. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm not even sure where I am. I don't know what's happening. I'm dead. I'm dead for sure. Oh my goodness. That was way too close. So I've decided that I am very, very sick of eating fish. It takes forever for me to get the food that I need. It runs out really fast, doesn't have great saturation. I am just over it. Don't want to deal with it, not for one more minute. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and get working on a different food source. I have some items together to start getting this going, and I'm going to go ahead and build that now, take a pause on some of my other projects, because I'm not going to get very far if I don't have the food I need. So let me go ahead and start making some progress on that, and I will bring you guys all right back in as soon as we have got something good to go. Well, we finally have it constructed. Things are looking pretty good, so let me go ahead and show you what we got going here. You can probably already hear it, but what we have is we have gone ahead and built ourselves a automatic chicken cooker. So this will auto replenish a bunch of the different eggs that are being dropped. It will dispense them, make them grow up, and then they will get killed when they're done. This is not the exact design that I've seen. I kind of tweaked it to make it a little bit of my own, but this is similar to something that I watched in one of Mumbo Jumbo's videos. So if you're interested to know how this works, you can go ahead and check out his channel for the version that he made. I have a little bit of a different setup here, so let me just show you what I have. I'm limited on resources, so I've found that when you leave the chickens with the lava above their head indefinitely, sometimes when they're dispensed, they get caught in the lava and they die. And I just haven't felt like that's super efficient. So I am going to only do a cooking cycle once a day. So I have a daylight sensor here running into a torch burnout clock. So as soon as that switches over, it will send a pulse in. That will give about 2 or 3 pulses on the torch burnout, which will dispense the lava onto the heads of the ones that are being dispensed. They're sitting in there on a half slab so that the babies sit under the lava and the full-grown chickens sit up just high enough to catch the lava. The comparator reads the output every time an egg gets put in the dispenser. It comes down here and it turns on this little power generator that I have with a torch clock, and it runs right up through here and starts sending pulses into the same dispenser, so that every time a egg is dropped and makes its way into the dispenser, it will immediately dispense it. So I don't have to do any other maintenance to this for the rest of the time that I have it. As long as I'm in the area, it's going to have the chickens in the back laying eggs. They're going to get dispensed. They're going to have whatever chances there are of them becoming a chicken. And then when they grow up, it will hit about nighttime, and as soon as I sleep, it will auto cook them every single time it turns to daylight, and the power shuts off from the setup that we have up at the top with the daylight sensor. So not a bad setup. I'm thinking about doing a little bit of a design around this, but one of my biggest weaknesses is that I love doing the farms and the automation, and I'm not as creative in the design work and the building, so things often end up being left a little bit like this, where it's just all out in the open and looks kind of silly with just a bunch of mechanical things being viewed and not really any beautiful decorations. So that's something that I'll have to set aside for the future. I have other things to do before we get to that point. I just needed to go ahead and get a food source going because I am hungry and this has not been going well. But when we come down here, we have some work that we need to do with these guys, because right off the bat, the very first thing I got was one of these nitwit villagers, and he does not do anything good for me. He can't have a job. He can't do anything. So I'm gonna have to get rid of him. I'm gonna have to get these guys breeding a little better. I messed around with some water buckets and different things, trying to push the babies off, and found that realistically they just walk themselves off on their own, and I don't really have to mess with that too much. But they're going to need a lot more food than what I have right now, so it's in the works. I got to find a method of getting rid of this guy and not lowering my villager status with the people by just slapping him around with my sword. So I got to figure out now where to start doing this trading hall, because it's finally time to get that started so that we can start getting all of the wonderful trades that we need and all of the benefits, from the enchantments to the food sources to emeralds, whatever it is that we're wanting. So as you can tell by looking at me, my tools are looking pretty rubbish. No enchantments. I don't even have a chest plate anymore. It got broken off of me. I'm in bad state. So what I've done is I came and found a zombie spawner and set up a little bit of a method of getting some levels. It's definitely not by any means the best thing in the world, but I've been slapping them around down here for a little bit. I also have set up a full enchanting setup so that I can start getting some level 30 enchantments. I have one that I'm trying to get on a diamond pick right here, and just have some other tools that I've already done up that are looking pretty sweet. Would love to get the mending from the villagers, but for the time being, that will do me just fine. I do just need to get some levels, get that all sorted out, and see where we're going to be going from here, because I don't want to be digging huge underground holes out with a straight iron pick. That is definitely no good. But that's where we're going to go ahead and end today's episode. I love you all so much. Love seeing you guys stopping by and subscribing and commenting. It has been really just the most amazing process so far. I cannot wait to do more adventures with you guys and see what other shenanigans that we can get up to together, because it's been quite the journey, and I cannot wait to see you next time.